How's it going, everyone? We're back with the video. A no crank, no start on a BMW. No way. This is pretty common. Well, crank but no start. No crank, no start. Depends on what you want. Today we are working on a E60. And this video is going to be the same for most BMWs, generally. So we're going through everything that can make your BMW no crank, no start, like this one's doing. All right. So this is 2010 550i. There's a few things are taken apart up here. So V8, N62. This is going to be the same overall for E90, E60, F30, F80, everything, X3, X5, generally. So you get in your car one day, you go to push the button, nothing. What's the very first thing you check? Very first thing you check is going to be the battery. Usually on BMWs, on most BMWs, not on all. The battery is in the trunk on the passenger side from the US. And most of the time, the AGM batteries fail. And once you run them low once, or once it gets a little too cold outside, it'll actually fail in such a way the car doesn't want to crank or start. How do you tell if the battery's bad? This guy right here. This is worth its weight in gold. I have actually two of these. Every mechanic friend I have, I tell them you have to get a battery scanner. This will tell you not only how old your battery is or how crappy your battery is, it may actually give you a warning ahead of time before you actually have a problem. So you scan that sucker, everything's good. The next thing you're gonna go to is going to be your battery monitoring system, which is located on the negative terminal. It's really dark in there, of your battery. You need to check really quick. If this is bad or good, you unplug the little plug, you hook it back up, it starts, it is not that. Also, don't forget to check your battery terminal. See, make sure everything's tight, make sure the 10mm nut is tight, make sure everything else is good to go. E60s have issues with the connections as these power cables go through the car. You want to check any connection with those. Most importantly, this connection up here, make sure both these bolts are tight and all that is done up correctly. If any of that's loose, it will not start. Also follow that down to the alternator, which this car is under the airbox. Make sure the connection on that is good. Make sure the little plug that plugs the alternator is good. Make sure the connection on the starter is good. Now, the starter on these 550s on a 62 is way up here, way up underneath the exhaust manifold, nearly impossible to get out. All the 600 cars will be located under the intake manifold. Also, on a lot of these cars, they have a issue with the you can see up here the power cable as it goes to the floor. You can see the red cable, that white connector. The white connector means it has been changed from the factory black one. That could also be the issue. That's not quite as common. The next one is the cast module or the key. So the key has to be read by the cast module in these. It could be EWS in certain cars, depends on what year it is, and all that stuff. If something becomes unsynced, you will not be able to start the car. You will have no crank, no start. You could even have crank, no start with that. It just depends on what exactly is bad in there and what's going on. Now, a lot of cars, after they sit for a while, this one has fairly low mileage, has been sitting. A lot of times the relays go bad. There's relays on this car for the starter, for the DME, for the security system. There's also fuses. Now this car, we have random no crank, no start. Sometimes it starts fine. So we know it's not a fuse. If you have no crank, no start all the time, you're gonna start checking fuses. You know, one practice I've done on buying cars throughout the years is before I do anything in the car, if there's things not working, I'll only hook the battery first thing. We'll go through and pull every one of these fuses individually and check them all. And 9 times out of 10, between the fuses back here and the ones in the glove box, you will find at least 3 or 4 bad fuses in the car, and that'll actually alleviate several of the issues when you first buy a car that it has. So that's another common problem. You're fighting 2 things. You're fighting, well, 3 actually. Age. You're fighting like factory problems with the car as they acquire those. And you're also fighting mostly people doing things to the car. A lot of shops will do things unsavory to cars unintentionally, just not knowing what they're doing, and cause all kinds of bizarre issues and bizarre problems. We've seen this so much. It is so much. If you're gonna take a car to a regular, any shop, including the dealership, and think everybody there is on the up and up and everybody knows what they're doing, I got some bad freaking news for you. That is not the case. Most of the time, it's a lot of kids working there. They're playing grab ass in the back. They don't really have the right knowledge or care to have the right knowledge to work on stuff. They're just there punching a time clock. We see that over and over and over and over again, even with this car. There were some very bizarre things with this car which cause all kinds of issues. You know, some cars, the no crank, no start, could be a wet ECU. The computer got wet in the box up here. And this one actually is taken apart because I pulled the drain out. Look how stopped up that is. The purple on there is like soap from the car wash. That's all just dirt. This is not from sitting on a tree, it's just dirt. You know, BMW still put these drains in these cars on both sides, ECU box and for the ABS side. And it's just a real issue, you know. If you have any BMW that has drains in any of these boxes, take them out. Just take them out and leave them out. The hole itself will never stop up. The drain will stop up. You know, another thing too is watch your sunroof drains. The sunroof drains are the exact same thing, which will make the carpets wet. And a lot of these cars have modules and fuse breaker boxes in the carpet, under the carpet. That'll cause no crank, no start also. Then if you get really lucky, these E60s, you usually don't have a problem with this, but in 2009, 2010, they started putting this box, this IVM or IV something, I don't remember what it was called, module, like a 7 Series had, in these newer cars. And they still got the old fuses from the 90s in them. Like, what were they even doing? What were they even doing? I don't know. Unfortunately, this car's problem is this for the random starting. You might be able to start this car 10 times in a row, it'll be fine. And you go to start it again, no crank, no start. No crank, no start. This box is full of relays, like I said, and fuses. And this also holds a starter relay. I forgot what all, it was a lot. DME relay, all this stuff in that box. There's not really a way to test that box. This is not to be coated, but this needs a new box. So that's what this thing has coming. And we're just all thankful it was not the starter, because doing the starter on this thing would be near impossible. This is a car I just did the valve stem seals on, and annoying to know that we did that. And then it started having no crank, no start problems. I thought it was something I did. We then called the previous owner and says, oh no, that's been going on for a long time. It's always something, right? Is this every problem with no crank, no start on a BMW? Of course not. This is not only going to work for BMW stuff, this could also be a lot of the Audi stuff's like this, a lot of Mercedes. Most of the German cars could be similar to this. But as far as the battery, testing, all that, that goes for any car, right? So, moral of the story is, if you had no crank, no start, don't freak out. It's not the end of the world. You're more likely to have a bad issue if you have crank but no start. You know, then you're into crank sensors and cam sensors and mass airflow sensors and blowing engines and all kinds of crap like that. But that's gonna be it for today's video, guys. Check out the battery scanner. I'll put a link in the description for it. That thing is worth its weight in gold. Every mechanic should have one of those. Thanks for watching. We'll see y'all later.